My name is Amal, and in that I'm of this grand older age, I won't be as hesitant about giving you my date of birth as I would be earlier. So I was born in 1953, and I have to think about it sometimes, but these days it doesn't just roll off my tongue in terms of how old I am, but I'm 68 and I recently had a birthday, so that's why it's easier for me to remember. And I've lived in the Natomas area now for like about a year and a half, so still relatively new to the area. I had a bike when I was young. I was the only girl in the household of 5 boys. And so while I had a bike, my brothers didn't, so I didn't always have access to that bike because everybody was trying to ride that same bike. But I learned to ride it when I was very young. And I didn't ride again until I got in college, and a lot of that had to do with transportation. I went to Michigan State, and it was a large campus and they had bus services. But one term I decided I was not going to pay for bus service. So I got a bike, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. But I didn't take over his word as I should have, because when I moved, I just put it in a storage place without a lock and whatever. When I went to look for it, it was gone. So I didn't start riding again, actually, until I moved to California in '82. A neighbor of mine rode a bike, and so he and I would ride together. I went to graduate school. Some of my classmates that I met rode bikes, and we rode together. And then at one of the gyms that I went to, one of the guys was in a cycling club, and he invited me to come join, and that's how I got involved with the group Oakland Yellow Jackets. And that's when I really took off when it came to riding. It serves 2 purposes. One of exercise, but then it also is a way of me getting to know the city. Just like driving in a car, I learn the highways, but then riding on a bike, I get to know the side streets. I get to see the neighborhoods. I get to see the parks because I'm going at a slower pace. I can stop and it's not a big deal. And so I like it for that. And then I just like being out, doing stuff and meeting people too. I have also learned to ride so that I could be a leader for one of the rides, and that's over to Discovery Park. And that was good because it's one thing just to sort of follow someone when they're leading, and it's another thing for you to know the route. Cycling is a form of exercise, but also a way of getting out and seeing the area, the city, possibly the world, because we're talking about doing a bike ride in the Netherlands. So, yeah. When I was in the club, I did the AIDS ride from San Francisco to LA. And they were talking about some of the hills or some of the rides that were really treacherous. And it was one where it was this 3 like mountains or whatever, and it was supposed to be really tough. And at the end of the day, they asked about that. I said, oh, really? Is that what you were talking about? I mean, it was nothing. And a lot of it having to do with the fact that we've done similar hills in the Bay Area as a matter of course annually as part of our rides during the riding season. So it's helped me to overcome some of my fears. And as long as I'm doing that, then I can challenge myself, because I recognize that if I don't push through it, then it will always be something to hold me back. I can proudly say that for the AIDS ride, I did the entire ride. I was not sagged. I think maybe the last day I had some pain in my left knee, but otherwise I did it all. So I felt pretty good being able to do that. Yeah. Now I was much younger when I did that. But yeah, I did it. When I was probably in college, one of my cousins died who I really liked. And what she left me was a quilt. I liked the quilt. I didn't think much of it, but I continued to keep it with me, and I thought about wanting to learn, but I didn't do anything. Now that was in high school. And probably in about 2005, I was at an event probably in the museum during Black History Month. And the African American Quilt Guild of Oakland had representatives there, and I thought, this is my opportunity. I can join and finally learn how to quilt. And so I did, and I went out and I got a sewing machine, and I like to tell this story. My girlfriend and I, now, she had some experience, I believe, with sewing. I had very little except for what I had in high school. And so we're reading the directions, and we're going through, and we're trying to figure out how to thread this machine. And between the two of us, we finally figured it out in about an hour, how to thread this machine. But that's a story I like to tell. And so I continued to do that, and I enjoyed it, although I wanted to branch out. I like doing the basics to learn that, but then I like to do the unconventional in terms of not having to do an exact square or whatever. And then when I found this one called paper piecing, where it was sort of like if you can do on the lines, you can do the straight points, and you can do the small, you can do the big. That's when I really fell in love. And now I like to experiment or just sort of mix it up. I like to do paper piecing. I like to do some collage work where I'm just cutting strips and pasting, taking pieces of paper, doing some drawings or collage in terms of a picture, and continually expanding my skills. For this particular year when we were doing our quilt show, they wanted to do something different. They wanted a common subject and having to do with areas or around Oakland in the Bay Area. During that time, I was also very immersed, very interested in the cycling, so it seemed natural for me to do something about the Yellow Jackets and cycling. Yeah.
Can we see your quilt?
Yes, yeah. And I had found some fabric that was having to do with cycling, so that was perfect. And as I mentioned, the paper piecing, a lot of this is paper piecing, like these having to do with hearts, basically indicating my love for cycling at the time. Okay, let me see. Make sure you're seeing it correctly. Oh, okay, this is it. I'll tell you what I wrote on it. Okay, so it's cotton photo transfer. Wait a minute. Let me put on my glasses here so I can see. Cotton photo transfer, paper piecing, raw edge applique, machine stitching, and quilting. And our theme for that year for our quilt show was cycling around Oakland and the Bay Area, bringing neighborhoods together. A cycling group that I was a part of and became an avid cyclist inspired this quilt. The Oakland Yellow Jackets is a multicultural cycling club, which is primarily social, but its members are active in the following events: Bike to Work Day in Oakland, AIDS Life Cycle Ride, which is an annual bike ride from San Francisco to LA, and the Breast Cancer Ride. So, when I talk about paper piecing, all of the hearts are paper pieced. That's paper piecing. The pictures and the cyclists, that's the raw edge applique. And then the piecing together would be putting the blocks together. And this is more raw edge. But I wanted to have the theme of cycling, so that's why I got the bicycles in here too, as well as signs that you might see on the road. Always think in terms of not having your work be in and all of who you are. Letting there be something beyond that define yourself. So that when it comes time, or if there comes a time where you're not working, there are other avenues for you. So I would say definitely pursue that. And I would say also too, to be open to experiences. Challenge yourself. If there are some fears that you can't overcome, then I'd say do it, try to do it. And you may not be able to overcome them all, but if you can do some. So don't let them get the best of you. So continually push, I would say, to be better at least one thing in your life. Open to meeting new, different people. And be willing to listen as well as verbalizing. So that would be what I want to share.